Hey guys, I'm Cal, that's Matt.
I'm with a Trog.
And yeah, today we are doing a video mostly to talk about the Kickstarter launch of the TCG. We're going to go over a few things like what to expect, what we hope to see from, the developers of the game, and, well, obviously, what we know as well through being a part of the server. We also have a few disclaimers to go through. The main one being the non-foil Lucy promo that you used to get for signing up for the newsletter is no longer being given away. That ended on the 20th of January, so apologies to people for the short that we released on the 26th.
If you've seen our content, it's like, go get it. It's like, sorry, you can't.
You
should still sign up for the newsletter, though.
It's still worth signing up for the newsletter, and to get the foil Lucy promo, the foil Nova Rare, you just have to back the Kickstarter. To my knowledge, it's any pledge gets you in the cards. Gets you.
You gotta sign up. You gotta hit that. You gotta hit the follow on the Kickstarter, and you should join the Discord too.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say the Discord has hit like a whopping 60,000 members in that server now.
Jesus Christ. 60,000.
60,000. Yeah. It's funny.
It's like 20. It's like 20,000.
They had to put I'm sure it's like 60k. They had to put like slow mode on general chat yesterday because of the amount of people that were talking.
Jesus, that's you know what that is? That's a good sign, is what that is.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, if you're not, go to the Kickstarter page. There's links to the Discord server. It's an amazing community. We've been part of it for just under a month now. We're very involved in the community. I personally speak a lot with a lot of people. Wonderful, amazing people. The community is very funny. It's been a great time. There's been no real problems. The mod team, the Weird Co crew, stellar job at making sure everything's clear, despite the amount of people that there are per mod. So it's been really, really good to be a part of that. Without further ado, let's kind of just segue a little bit into kind of what we know. So, I think the first big thing is March 17th is the day of the Kickstarter launch where you can start to pledge. It is, I believe, 9 a.m. PT, which for us in GMT is about 5 p.m. So if you're in the UK or if you're around that time, it will be around 5 p.m.
Yeah, just before you leave the office, make sure to get on your phone and jump on that Kickstarter.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be waiting, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we've got it in the back pocket. Yeah,
I mean, hopefully we can grab one of the. There's probably gonna be tiers.
Yeah, there is.
Like with any Kickstarter. Yeah. I want to get me one of the big ones.
I'm hoping that there's a stretch tier. You know what I mean? Like if they hit a certain goal, like
maybe stretch goals. Yeah.
Maybe they get like Keanu Reeves to sign one of the cards or something. Like that's something that's been talked about in the chat a lot.
Jesus Christ! Oh,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Imagine
the Johnny
promo.
Yeah.
With the Keanu Reeves signature.
Amazing.
Wait, should he sign it as Keanu Reeves? Or should he sign it as Johnny Silverhand?
He'd probably sign it as Johnny Silverhand, I think, knowing him. But still, yeah, so... we're getting sidetracked. Yeah, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, we'll go too deep.
We go too deep. Yeah, we're too excited. So, the Johnny card is just incredible. But, yeah, so like I said, March 17th, that's when it goes live for everyone. Now, there are, because we're still a little bit a ways from the Kickstarter, we don't actually know what the tiers are yet. This is something that they're going to speak about at a later date. But yeah, something as well to take into consideration, probably should have said this before, but I guess now is a good time to say it. This is not a financial advice video. Kickstarter, due to the nature of its platform, is always risky when you invest into something, so don't invest something that you're not willing to lose. So if the worst case happened, if you lost your money in this pledge, don't take our word as gospel. This is just two people who are passionate about TCGs and who have witnessed many different starting campaigns for TCGs giving their early opinions on what we think will happen. So yeah, so this is not financial advice. Do not, don't rip the copper wiring out your walls to fund the ultra high tier. You know what I mean? So
don't, like you say, don't pledge anything you're not willing to lose, just in case.
Yeah, exactly.
We love the Cyberpunk TCG, and we love the people at Weirdco, but a product is a product, and that's what risky, this is. It's a product launch. Yeah?
It's us as consumers and as fans that dictate how successful it's going to be. But we'll get into more of the model of Kickstarter and why why I personally enjoy it, and we'll talk about stuff like that. So, how about we get into our opinions of how the Kickstarter launch is going? I think it's going great. Like I was saying, we've got 60k members in the Discord server. At least I think last time I checked. And
that's just people willing to join the Discord.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Think about all the people who are watching content like we're making right now.
Yeah.
Think about people who are hearing it through word of mouth, maybe an advert on Twitch or something. You know what I mean? They go, "Oh, Cyberpunk, I like that."
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. So, as a community, it's been one of the most friendly and welcoming communities that I've been part of for a while. And yeah, obviously, like we were saying before, we cannot praise the Weirdco team enough. They've won my favour as like one of the better companies that I've interacted with.
And to be fair, when you're making a product based off of an IP, based off of a subculture that is mostly us versus them, right? The powers that be, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to aggregate a lot of chummy, like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
the word chum is thrown around unironically.
Yeah. Like Night City slang is used quite frequently. I personally use it sometimes.
See, if you're a real Cyberpunk old head, though, you say chumba.
Chumba, exactly. I like to say weird variations like chumbadre. You know what I mean? Like.
Chumbadre.
But yeah, so.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I personally think, at least with how it's been handled, the Kickstarter is very, very well off. I mean, I don't. They're doing nearly daily new art reveals for cards as well. The Discord has loads of different things. And even if you're unsure on how to play and stuff, or you're unsure, you want to get like a multitude of creators like ourselves opinions on it, there is a channel where all of the creators post to, so that everyone else in the server can go and watch their stuff, which is nice. You know, it's nice as creators to be given that space. But yeah, so like I said, so we know there's going to be tiers. We're not too sure what's going to happen. Now, I've been monitoring the server a lot to try and get a lot of people's opinions on and questions that are being asked. And one of the most common questions that is always asked is, how much will this product cost when it hits full-scale production? The easy answer is, we don't know. Obviously, the people at Weirdco, I found this out. This has been 2 years in the making. So this was posted in general yesterday. So one of the Weirdco guys, this has been a 2-year project that they've been building up. They aren't going to be sure about product yet. They probably have plans, but so far we do not know. If I was to make an educated guess, because we know that the cards are going to be standard sizing like Magic the Gathering and Gundam, I would hope that we are looking at around that same price tag. So if I was to say, let's say £5 to £6 a booster pack, British pounds, that's what I would personally hope for at most. But we cannot really comment.
Honestly, me personally, I wouldn't say go above £5.
Yeah, I just feel like with how expensive everything is, especially because I think they're mostly European based, I think feasibly that to get a booster pack under £5 is going to be very difficult for them. Something else that we do know, this was, we got a close up of the I think it was the Subaru Arasaka card, the promo that comes in the alpha kit. One thing to note, the alpha kits are not for sale. You will not be able to buy them even during the Kickstarter launch. These are alpha products that are meant for playtesters and content creators. So if you want to join the server and you're hoping to pick something up, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Aside from the ones aside from the few that will be given away to people at random. With that being said, I think as we are looking at full-scale production for the game in the near future, I would hope that they sort out like a proper distribution base, because it's something that I think card games don't do often, especially ones that come from, let's say like Japan, like Konami and stuff. Distribution centers are just, there's not enough of them. Cardfight Vanguard has a massive problem where product never hit shelves on time, promos never arrive at shops because it has to come from their base in Cardfight's case it's Singapore, which is it's a long ways away from the UK, so we kind of get shafted in that regard. Yeah, I hope that's...
Gundam can barely keep product on the shelves.
Yeah, exactly. Like our local TCG has had to put a buy limit on single booster packs because of how fast things are flying off and because they want to give people an opportunity. Now, that is an interesting conversation that I think we should segue into, actually, is because we're talking about what we know, is kind of like the idea of limiting product for people. Now, another thing that's talked about a lot in the server is scalping, which is, for those who don't know the term, it's just someone who will buy the product, usually en masse, at RRP in order to sell it at a higher price later on down the line.
Basically, imagine you have a local bakery you really like going to.
Yeah.
You love this bakery, you've been going there for ages, and they release a brand new fudge brownie, right? And you're looking forward to this fudge brownie. You're like, oh man, it's going to be so good. I get off work, a little sweet thing. It's going to be great. But you go there, and the guy in front of you purchases every last brownie in the bakery. Not just the new one, but the ones you've been getting beforehand as well. The pastries you've been enjoying when you've been going there. He just sweeps the entire bakery clean. And he leaves. And you go up and you go, can I get a brownie, please? And they go, sorry. We're all out. That guy bought everything. And then you go outside, and the guy in the back of a truck looks up to you and says, hey, pal, do you want a brownie? And you go, oh, yeah, I'm in the mood for a brownie, actually. And he tells you it's twice the price it was inside the bakery.
Yeah.
And now you don't have a choice anymore. Well, no, you do get a choice, but it's a devil's bargain. You either don't get a brownie, or you pay double for a brownie you should have paid half the price for.
Yeah, exactly. So scalping is everywhere. It's rampant in basically, I'd say, wherever there is a niche/demand in something, there is always going to be
tickets,
scalpers.
and then it moved into sneaker culture.
Yeah, well, even
and then
baseball
it moved into
cards.
card games.
It's been a thing. It's been a thing in collectibles for years. You've always had people that will buy en masse to try and sell later on at a profit. Now, buying en masse isn't the problem. It's when you don't enjoy the product, and I think that's the main thing with scalping, is that these are people who usually don't play the game, or even if they do, they see it more as an investment than a hobby. So it makes it harder on the people who just want to buy that product. And this is a massive conversation in the server and in this video, because we're going to be talking about potential ways that we think they're going to help combat this. But for now, yeah, so that's the basics of what the term, obviously, scalping is, for those who don't know. It's very bad in the Pokemon community. It's happening in the Gundam community ever since the very first set of Gundam, unfortunately. So even as a business, I don't think it's kind of... It feels almost dystopian in a way. Like, if me as a kid, I used to go and buy packs all the time. If I said to my shop, my LGS, oh, can I buy 4 packs? And they say, no, you can only buy 2. I'd be like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it's unheard of, because why would a business want to limit the product they sell?
I agree. But it's a symptom of a culture obsessed, not with doing things, but with accumulation.
But yeah, so we've already spoke about scalping, at least the basics of scalping, for a while now. We'll get back into that in a bit. But yeah, the reason why I bring it up is because that is a common question in the server. So yeah, we will talk about that in a little bit. Now, yeah, so going back, to the foil that I was talking about before, the way that they described it, now this was translated from, I believe it was a Polish streamer who had one of the cards, because it was a member of the playtest team. The only way that I can describe it is the foiling was quadruple textured.
Whoa.
I don't know how to describe it other than that. I'll try if I can, and I'll try and get the clip to kind of like show.
Quad?
It's
Quad
the texturing on the card is nuts. Like, so you've got like the texturing of like his clothes, for instance, where it's been embossed, so if you touched it you could feel it. And then there's like this very slight grid pattern on it. Like this, you know, like a cyberpunkish grid.
Like the,
and yeah. And then it's all of the background are very slightly embossed, kind of like an SP in Vanguard, like a special parallel, or I guess in Pokemon it'd be like a raised foil or something. I'm not too sure about the rarities. Maybe like a SR, I think it is. So that's insane. Nova Rare, as it stands, is the highest rarity that we know of. But yeah, so once again, I think it's worth mentioning that the what we know section of this video is mostly kind of just not a lot right now. There's not a lot that we can guarantee. There's not a lot we can talk about, because essentially we're just going to have to wait until the Kickstarter. But overall,
this is still, unfortunately, majority speculation.
Yeah. But overall, though, I think it's off to a good launch. Now, I think, we'll segue into kind of what we hope for. Now, the first thing
I will say.
Yeah.
I will say, alpha kits are starting to land in the hands of creators.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, I think literally, as we record this, someone has gotten their physical alpha kit. So we're about to receive a lot more information very quickly.
Yes. So hopefully soon we will be that, you know, if you're in the Discord, you'll see probably a chain of the first wave of alpha kits being given out. On terms of what we hope for, I want to start off by saying that one of the biggest questions when it comes to a new TCG is ban lists. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is infamous for it.
Magic the
Gathering. One Piece has had a very, very rocky start with some of their ban lists being, you know, a ban list that we were hit by personally was the Trafalgar Law, because that's when we started to play.
That was a sad day.
Ban lists for early players can honestly put them off. Now, what I'm hoping for, and this is where I would give One Piece credit over most of the card games, in Yu-Gi-Oh, if a card is banned, it's because they assume that you know why. They assume that you follow the meta, and they assume that you understand why the card is banned, right? You're very rarely unless it's an emergency ban list, which hasn't happened in years, you're very rarely given a reason why. Whereas with One Piece, whenever a major card is banned, especially if it's a leader card, they will tell you why the card is banned. So in the case of Trafalgar Law, they said it was too meta shaping, no other decks could really compete, it wasn't a fun environment, that's why we did
too much value. Yeah, just way too much value.
Like even even the other main purple deck at the time, I think was it Reiju? Yeah, Reiju. Even the Reiju deck that did what Trafalgar Law used to do couldn't compete because Trafalgar Law did it better. So
and it had that little splash of red in it too.
Yeah, so a lot of people, I think, early on have the big question of how are they going to handle ban lists. Now, with the nature of a card game like this, it's hard to say because we just don't know. I personally hope, because this is what we hope for, I personally hope that they follow the boots of One Piece, where they give an informed reason as to why a card is banned, if a card is banned, and same with erratas. Now, I think the potential for an errata, for those who don't know what an errata is, it's just a change in text. So Yu-Gi-Oh does it a lot where, like, if you look at, let's say, Chaos Emperor Dragon, which is the first big errata, I think, in the game. Chaos Emperor Dragon was banned for like 10 years. Then they said, okay, if we just slightly tweak the rules, he'll be playable again. So they did that. So the newer prints of that card that were printed,
and then he became absolutely useless.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was another example of them going too far with the errata. But still,
that's power creep. Yeah,
that's just power creep, exactly.
A good example I'd like to bring up for that, right, in terms of a ban list and errata to fix stuff, is kind of a a more underdog card game called Alestrals. I don't know if you've picked up on Alestrals.
I've heard of Alestrals.
Yeah. So they do a thing with their ban lists, right? Mm-hmm. Where the ban list is called Tartarus.
Yeah.
Because it's got like a little bit of like Greek god theming and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But basically, when a card gets banned, it gets sent to Tartarus, .. quote unquote, right? And then, as the game moves on a little bit, they keep a close eye on the meta and how the game's developing and stuff. And if they feel like it's appropriate, they'll release a new version of the card it'll be card name Escaped from Tartarus.
That's cool, yeah.
And it'll have new artwork and a reworked rules text box underneath it. But it is a new card.
I love the idea of just like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Swap Frog, the Banished or something, you know what I mean? Like
Swap Frog,
the Arisen.
Prisoner of the Shadow Realms.
Yeah. So, so that is, I think,
totally awesome. Returned from death.
Yeah, so I think that's a big concern for a lot of early players, is kind of the idea of a ban list. And yeah, we can't guarantee, but I hope at least they handle it like One Piece do. Now
I'd like to see something like One Piece, like Alestrals.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Now the next thing,
Moki.
Yeah, the next thing that we'll talk about is so the Kickstarter platform in itself, and why I enjoy the idea of a Kickstarter launch. Now, a lot of people in the server were voicing their opinions on the idea of, oh well, what if I don't want to back? And the real thing is, you don't have to, right? Kickstarter does two major things for a launch of a game. Now, Kickstarter in itself has a reputation for being basically a scam site, right? Because people can just have an awesome idea. The amount of scam games that have come out of, projects or even physical products. People used to make the whole, full form content on scams from Kickstarter.
Which is a shame, really, because Kickstarter didn't used to be like that.
It didn't used to be like that, but it's people abusing a abusable system. But there's two things in particular that I want to kind of revolve around with the Kickstarter thing. The biggest one is when a card game launches, they usually are doing so out of their own pocket. And for a company, that's very risky. And I think it causes a lot of companies to kind of sidestep around hard decisions that you need to do for distribution. Now with Kickstarter, you will get a lot of interest and also you get that little bit of extra wallet.
Would we call it a vertical slice?
Yeah, it's just money. You get money. You have the advantage of having pre-funding. So yeah,
and that's big. That's having a nice big ball of money you can throw at problems.
Yes.
It's useful no matter who you are.
Because if to my knowledge, I think Asmodee are still the main distributor of card games in the UK. There have been controversies with Asmodee and stuff, and for those who were there for the Final Fantasy launch in MTG and stuff, where product just didn't come
crazy.
Out. It was probably the most scalped set of all time, as far as Magic the Gathering goes. That's not Asmodee's fault, but what I will say is that in a lot of places and from a lot of different opinions from people from around the world, is the distributors don't help, because the distributors in their own right can also scalp. Now, I think being an independent company like Weirdco and being their own publishing company hopefully means that they don't have to rely on those distributors, and they can do it themselves. So I would like to see that personally. Even if they do go with Asmodee, I'm hoping that a hard RRP is set, a non-negotiable RRP. That's what I hope for. Now, in essence, that's not really a thing you can enforce, because it's a recommended retail price. Like, if we go to our LGS, the owner of our LGS really can charge whatever he wants for his product. That's not something that is legally binding. But a hard RRP, what I mean is that, like Magic the Gathering, for a good year, they got rid of RRP. So they were like, well, we're not going to tell you how much we think our product's worth. And that meant that gauging an idea on how much product is worth became a nightmare, not just for retailers, but for consumers. Because if the company making the game can't even outline how much they think it's worth, then how are you supposed to as a consumer? So that is something that I hope that they do. Now, the second benefit that Matty said before is gauging interest. So 60k members on the Discord, every single person every day that I see is hype. We want to see this card game do well. I'm personally going to empty my bank account to back this and all that, right? So much enthusiasm, it's
I've taken
almost
out a second
overwhelming.
mortgage on my house.
Yeah.
I sold my car.
I made a joke yesterday that I'm undoing the cobalt rods in my back to sell it on the side. You know what I mean? Like that's where we're
precious
at.
metals market. Yeah,
Exactly.
You're the reason silver crashed the other day.
Yeah. So we are once again looking at people's opinions on that and stuff. I think it's very easy to say that there is take this with a grain of salt, but I think it's going to do well just on the sheer numbers. And this is people that we don't speak. This doesn't include people that we don't speak to. This doesn't include other creators that aren't a part of the Discord. This doesn't include people that have just seen content and have been like, yeah, that's cool, I'll follow that. Like, this is just people in general who are in the server, so we get a lot of opinions, and I think that's a very neat thing alone. Now that I think that now we, it's pretty clear that we're talking.
I think what has helped with that as well is the idea that Cyberpunk as an IP has had a psychotic resurgence.
Yes, it has.
It has boomed like you wouldn't believe.
I mean,
long gone are the days where you could talk to even your fellow tabletop gaming nerds and go, "Hey, you want to play some Cyberpunk?" And they'll stare at you with wet, glassed-over eyes.
Yeah.
Fish blinking one at a time.
Yeah,
go,
the slow frog blink. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. So
as they pass you another booklet of Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is once again I think that is something that I want to talk about. The biggest thing with the Kickstarter thing, this is my personal opinion, is the idea of how Kickstarter as a platform helps against scalping, right? So pledging in itself means that you're essentially paying for what they think the product is worth. Let's say, I don't know, we'll do it in dollars just for the sake of, worldwide currency. Let's say dollars, right? Let's say we do a $200 pledge, and it says you get a booster box and a promo, right? That means that that's what that's what that's what you think that they think that product is worth. Not like a set RRP, but you get a rough estimated value from what you're giving them versus what you receive back from them in these tiers. Now, scalpers very rarely tend to go for things that they know they're not going to make money, unless they know they're going to make money on something. And even though we can say, oh yeah, this game's going to go to the moon and stuff, we don't know, right? So as a scalper, that is, from the scalper perspective, that alone is a risk.
It's an addition, yeah, I would say it's an additional layer of risk they might not have the stomach for.
Exactly, right. The second thing is, as well, on terms of combating the scalping aspect, is obviously production times. I think it's relatively common for a Kickstarter. Let's say if it releases in March, I think we will be lucky to see most of the product be shipped out by the end of the year, just because of product, just because of printing, just because of shipping, just because of everything that's mentioned, you know what I mean? So a lot of people don't have the stomach to wait that long, There are some, obviously, that will, but I think that is an extra little floodgate on terms of that. The third as well is being a new game that isn't a set market. With the Gundam TCG, for instance, it wasn't until the first set was released, obviously, that there was a lot of problems. With stuff like alpha kits, that's not even on the table of something that you can buy, so there's not going to be, unless people who receive it are going to start selling them en masse.
Unless somebody does a really
dick
big
move. Yeah, exactly, right.
I'm not gonna lie. If there's something that's gonna get some hustle deployed to your house, it's gonna be trying to resell one of these kits.
Yeah. Now
you're gonna see the Saka drone outside your kitchen window.
Yeah. Now, and another thing that's worth mentioning as well, I think, on terms of combating scalping alone, and this is now that we've said that, our piece, well, my piece about the Kickstarter thing. I mean, do you agree with that model, Matt? Would you say that Kickstarter has, at least at a fundamental level, has things that would dissuade scalping?
It has a greater level of resistance.
Yeah.
Against scalping because of that added, what is usually a quote-unquote risky investment becomes a lot more of a gamble, because you got to get enough fuel to ignite the rocket, right?
Yeah.
But where there's a will, there's a way, and with the advent of botting and all that stuff, it's not impossible, but it's not as easily doable.
Now, I think a good counterpoint to the idea of botting, right? Now, that this is something that I think Magic the Gathering needs to start doing, right? And that's the idea of limiting per household or limiting per PO box, right? It's sad that it's come to this in the collectible world. If you've created 40 bots and all of them are delivering to the same place, the people that are looking through these orders should kind of sit there and go, okay, this isn't morally right, because this one person is clearly abusing the system that we put in place. I know it's hard to do, especially when there are loads of orders, and I know it may not be realistic in the grand scheme of early game production, but this is something I do hope for, which is what we're talking about. I do hope that they limit certain items per household. If you want to buy one of each pledge, go for it. That's fine. I encourage you to do that. But if, let's say, $200 is a booster box, you shouldn't be able to buy 40 of them.
I agree. Unless you're like a retailer.
But yeah, so now that we've spoke mostly about the Kickstarter, which is something that I hope for, and ban list stuff, and the ratas that we've spoke about, Matt, you had something interesting to say about the dice mechanic.
Dice themselves, I feel, are a controversial mechanic in card games, because you're introducing an element of randomness that, on top of the inherent randomness that comes with, well, a deck of 60 individual cards. Like, all of TCG is a statistics game, apart from the intricacies of the actual game system you're playing. Adding dice onto that is another layer of randomness and complexity.
Yeah.
Good example of this is a game that I actually played for a little while. I even did a little charity tournament for a local card game players. It was called Star Wars Destiny. I don't know if it's still coming out. I think it's stopped. But it was a Star Wars card game. We had 6-sided dice that, when you went to attack or defend or basically do anything, you would roll your character's dice to see if they did a little extra damage, or maybe a critical, or maybe they didn't do anything. The dice were people liked it, people didn't like it. You know what I mean? Much like Marmite. Now, what I'm seeing about how the Cyberpunk TCG is handling the whole dice issue is the gig dice are that they are a central game mechanic in that it's how you win, right? It's your life bar and it's a resource. But apart from that, and a couple of card effects here and there, the dice don't really affect the game too much. So as a counter towards you winning, yeah, I mean, of course they're a core part of the gameplay.
Yeah, they are the win condition. Yeah.
But even if I roll like shit on those dice, if I get those dice before you do, I still win.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting kind of take on that, because so we've seen cards. I think Dying Knight is the first one that we've seen where you need to have 7 or more street cred, right, in order to get its extra effect. And I think it, once again, I don't remember what it does, but it's like you need 7 street cred, and then it gives the equipped card something on top of something else, right? Now, you can roll awfully, but you've got 6 dice in total. You're going to hit that street cred requirement unless you roll 1 on every dice.
It's scaling all the way up to a 20-sided dice.
Yeah. So you could, in theory, it's risky because, once again, the dice you have in your pool is the dice you could lose. But if you wanted to rush and do, let's say, get Dying Knight out early, you could just roll a d12, and then that's it's a 5 out of 12 chance that you're gonna roll above that 7 immediately to get that effect off.
And again, they have stated, I believe, that there are decks that care more about your street cred score, and there are decks that care less about your street cred score.
Yeah. So I think the Street Kid / like Jackie Wells deck that we saw in the first demo was one of the demo decks that cared more about street cred, because basically Jackie Wells himself is you choose one of your dice that have previously been rolled, you add 2 onto the value that you've rolled. So let's say if you had a d6, you rolled a 4, you turn that into a 6, and then if you adding that 2 maxes out the dice value, you draw a card, right? So there are decks that care more about that value, but it's not like every single deck in the game will care about your street cred. So like that is a very good point that I think is worth mentioning, is that and I'm glad you did mention it, is that street cred doesn't affect the game as much as like Star Wars. Now I did play Star Wars Destiny, if that's the name of it, for a little bit, and I personally didn't enjoy it, because the idea that I can play everything right and fumble because of the roll of a dice and then lose the game and something is completely out of my control as opposed to tactics kind of just ruined the experience for me. Whereas with this, it's like I can roll a 1 on every dice, but as long as I play my cards right, it doesn't really matter. It's not as pivotal, it's not as clear cut as, oh, I've lost now. Now, that might change, who knows, maybe as cards, you know, maybe our opinions will change on that after the games, but for now, because we're still in the alpha state of the game, that is something that I can definitely agree with, Matt, and I'm glad you brought that up.
It's good to address, because the idea can put some card gamers off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can just, if you build your deck that way, you can have a perfectly functional, viable strategy, not caring. I mean, ironically enough, it's the Arasaka kind of corpo demo deck they showed off as well that didn't care about street cred, which makes sense. Because why does Arasaka care what the streets think of them?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that this is going to be a worthwhile project. Obviously, you know, we are going balls to the walls when it comes to making content about it, and it's something that we are very much enjoying looking at and being a part of. But yeah, there might be a little bit of a break for content for us, just because obviously, as it stands, there's not really a lot that we haven't spoke about when it comes to the alpha state of the game. But once things become available, once, you know, things kind of unfold a little bit more, we will definitely make more videos and kind of talk about this. But yeah, as I say, today was kind of just a what we think video and what we know. I hope you guys all enjoy it. If you still don't know how to play the card game, but you want to find out, we did do a how to play video. I will link that down below if you want to check it out. We greatly appreciate everyone for the support since we have started making full YouTube content about the Cyberpunk game. Massive thank you to Weirdco and the mod team on the server. Massive shout out to the community that are just amazing and kind of really drive us into making content like this. And yeah, we'll see you again. Don't forget to follow our socials. Don't forget to check us out on Twitch. We do stream a lot of times, unless we're making YouTube content. But yeah, as always, I've been Cal, that's Matt.
And so that's Strog.
And yeah, we hope to see you soon. Bye!
Goodbye!